I've never quite been a big believer in the supernatural. That's not to say I completely discredit their stories, but they were just that to me. Stories. That is, until this encounter that happened a few years ago, and has really flipped my perception of supernatural activities or cryptids. I've wanted to get this off my chest for a long time now, so here goes. I find myself home alone a lot. With everyone in my family working or going to school, I'm the only one with a consistent schedule when I return from work. It's a frequent occasion for me to be the only one in the house for hours upon hours. This particular night, Mom and Dad were both working, and my sister was staying at her boyfriend's house. I was downstairs on the sofa in my living room, playing a mobile game on my phone to pass some time, while I waited for everyone else to return home. It was really quiet. Our only cat was sleeping in the other room, and even our central air furnace had turned off. Out of nowhere, I heard something moving just outside the living room, by our front porch. I thought nothing of it at first, as we have some kids next door who have absolutely no respect for the property line, and constantly kick or throw balls onto our property. There was a window facing out to where this noise seemed to be coming from, but the curtains on it are always closed. And even if they weren't, we also have a drawer in front of it that covers most of that window, making it hard to move the curtains anyway. I simply assumed this came from our neighbors and ignored it. I quickly came to a different conclusion as it just waited where it was. If it were one of those kids, they would have grabbed the ball and scampered back to their side of the driveway and into their yard. It also dawned on me that it was about 9 p.m., so they would have been in bed by now. Soon after I made these realizations and observations, it began to move again, around the house, and towards the wall I was lying against. I noticed it had long strides, so it must have been tall, and I heard its heavy steps as it walked on the gravel of our driveway. That's when I knew it definitely wasn't one of the neighbor's children. I began to assume it was my mother or father coming home, and they simply wanted to get my attention so I could unlock the front door and let them in. Then, I saw the forehead through the window above me. Our house sits on a slightly elevated patch of land, and the only way to reach this particular window above me was to stand with your toes on a tiny lip of the lawn and hold onto the side of the house by the corner to keep you steady. Given how old our house was, putting that kind of weight on the house makes a very distinct creak that I'm very familiar with. But I didn't hear this person step onto the small lip of dirt, nor did I hear the creak of the corner of the house being gripped. So they had to still be standing on the gravel of the driveway. In order to see the forehead of whoever or whatever this was from there, they'd have to be about 7 feet tall. This confirmed this was nobody I knew, and I quickly got scared. With my heart beginning to pound, I leaned harder against the couch to get as far under this thing's vision as I could. It seemed to work. At least I think so. It made no sign of seeing me, and all I could make out was a dark forehead. I couldn't tell what color it was, whether pale or dark, nor could I determine hair color. In fact, I couldn't even see any hair. After what felt like minutes, but what was in reality probably only 10 to 15 seconds, I saw and heard it back away from the window. It began to walk further along the house, toward our back porch. I knew that if this thing got to the back porch, it would very easily be able to see me through our oversized window, so I quickly bolted out of the living room and toward the kitchen. I felt safe doing so, because even if this thing knew to be looking for a window on the porch, it would still have to look through the lattice that lines that side of the porch, past a large porch swing, and through some thin, slightly transparent curtains. I waited outside the downstairs bathroom, between the kitchen and living room, where the window on the back porch couldn't quite let you see to. As I waited, I heard the footsteps step up onto the back porch and wait. I tried my best to be as quiet as possible and to not move. Whoever or whatever this was paced along the back porch, and I even heard them try to open the door that leads into the laundry room. Thankfully, we always keep that door locked, as we almost never use that door to begin with. I got even more terrified when I suddenly couldn't hear it anymore, as if it had stepped off the porch and was back on the grass. Since I was no longer close enough to a wall to hear it walking, I knew at any point it could look through the numerous other windows that gave a clear view to me. The stairs to go up to the second story were right beside me, so I rushed up the stairs and I waited outside my sister's bedroom. Once again, I heard nothing for some time, and just when I thought this person, or whatever it was gone, I heard a loud metallic bang, then another. I cautiously scooched over to the window beside me, where the blinds were fully closed, and I peeked outside. My heart must have skipped several beats. This thing was standing almost directly beneath me and was holding the cellar door that leads to our basement wide open. Then it just let go, letting the metal door fall and slam shut, making that loud metallic bang a third time. With the door closed and no longer obstructing it, I got my first look at this creature. I use the word creature specifically because this was not a person. It was very tall, or at least it would be if it wasn't currently hunched over, staring straight ahead into the wall. I couldn't make out any clothing, but its proportions were just off. It looked fairly bulky, but at the same time I could clearly make out the bones which were tight against its skin. It appeared to be completely hairless as well. It reached for the cellar door again, and once I was confident it hadn't seen me, I carefully snuck down the hallway to my parents' bedroom, locating my father's .357 revolver, along with the only box of ammo for it we keep in the house, loading all 6 rounds into the cylinder, just in case this creature came inside and I would have to defend myself. I quietly went back to the window I was just at, but the creature was now gone. I began to worry that my worst-case scenario was playing out and that it was inside the house, in the basement. I held on to the firearm and just waited and waited. I heard absolutely no sound from the basement, and I even crept downstairs and into the kitchen, which sits above the basement, and I heard nothing. Whatever it was gone now. I went outside to put the cinder block back that normally keeps the cellar door closed. I kept the revolver with me. I saw no signs of it, but there was a very odd and unpleasant smell that I don't know how to explain. Once the cinder block was firmly weighing the cellar door shut, I rushed back inside, putting the firearm away after unloading it. My mother came home about 20 minutes later. I never told her, nor did I tell anyone else in my family about this, and I never saw that creature again. I consider myself lucky that I never got the most clear look at it, but even what I did see still gives me shivers when I think about it. Whoever or whatever it was can stay as far away from me as possible. Home is supposed to be the place you feel safest, and that night I felt anything but safe.